Vince returns home with Sarah, and when he sees the kitchen fully stocked, he's surprised. Sarah tells him he must be imagining things, that he's tired and needs rest. Then she takes him to her room and starts. In reality, Sarah had two sisters, and the three of them lived in a forest. They stayed there to lure young men passing by, trap them with their charm, and fulfill a mysterious ritual through romance. Vince, who had no home, was traveling on his bike on a long journey. Along the way, night fell, and he grew exhausted while riding. That's when he noticed a house in the middle of the forest. Not wanting to disturb anyone, he quietly entered a nearby storage area and fell asleep there. The next morning, Vince wakes up and sees a young, beautiful girl named Livia. The moment he looks at her, he's captivated. Livia asks his name, and Vince tells her not only his name, but also that he's on a long journey and had slept in the storage due to exhaustion. Livia quickly tells him to leave. As Vince starts to go, he notices Livia's older sisters. Seeing their beauty, he asks who they are. Livia tells him they are her sisters, both older than her. Hearing this, Vince starts reconsidering leaving. Meanwhile, Livia's sisters ask her about Vince, and she tells them everything. Seeing the young man, they're pleased and invite him to join them for breakfast, which Vince happily accepts. They tell him they live there alone and suggest he could stay for a while if he wants. Vince had been hoping for an opportunity like this, so he decides to stay with the three sisters. The sisters have already prepared breakfast, and Vince eagerly digs in. The eldest sister is Sarah, the middle one is Julia, and the youngest is Livia. After breakfast, they all start talking. The sisters tell Vince their parents died years ago, and now they live there alone. Vince shares that he also has no one in the world and spend his time traveling on his bike. The sisters want him to stay longer, but Vince initially refuses, saying he has work ahead. He walks out toward his bike, but then pauses. Thinking about the sisters' beauty, he changes his mind and decides to stay. Soon, they all head to a nearby lake. Vince swims while the three sisters watch him closely. Afterward, he returns to the boat and rows it toward the shore. The sisters are happy to have him around, and their time together becomes more enjoyable. After spending a lot of time at the lake, Livia suggests they go somewhere else, into the forest. Vince asks where, and she says deeper into the woods. On the way, Vince even catches fish for everyone right from the boat. In the forest, they show Vince around. He's amazed by its beauty. Eventually, they point to a large old mansion and tell him that their friends live there. Vince is eager to meet them, but the sisters warn him that he'll go there at the right time. Jokingly, Vince says that today is the right time and insists on going now. But the sisters immediately stop him, saying it's dangerous to go there at the moment. Vince starts cleaning his bike outside. Suddenly, Livia appears right in front of him, almost as if she came out of nowhere. Vince feels confused by how quietly she showed up, but he begins talking to her anyway. Livia tells him that her older sister Sarah is behind the house, preparing food and waiting for him. Vince agrees and walks toward the back. There, he finds Sarah cooking. However, the food she is preparing looks strange and unfamiliar, nothing Vince has ever seen before. As he stands beside her, observing, he suddenly hears the sound of his bike engine. Startled, he immediately runs toward the noise. When he gets there, he sees Julia, the middle sister, riding his bike. She is speeding recklessly across rough dirt paths, through hills and forest trails, clearly enjoying herself. Vince shouts at her to stop, worried she might get hurt, but Julia is completely caught up in the excitement. It has been a long time since she last rode a bike, and she refuses to slow down. Vince becomes frustrated and keeps chasing her. Eventually, noticing how worried he is, Julia finally stops. As Vince reaches her, he notices some of Julia's clothes lying on the bike. Before he can react, Julia suddenly runs off, signaling him to follow her. Without thinking too much, Vince runs after her. As Vince gets closer, he notices pieces of her clothing scattered along the way. They quickly reach the lake, where Julia clearly intends to swim. She jumps into the water. Vince follows her and dives in as well. They begin swimming together, moving farther into the deeper parts of the lake, far away from the shore. Julia swims ahead playfully, and Vince follows her, even though he is starting to get tired. After some time, Livia appears near the shore and calls out to Vince, asking him to come back. Vince, now exhausted, slowly swims back toward the edge. As he and Julia return closer to the shore, their interaction becomes more intimate, and they grow physically closer, losing themselves in the moment. Soon, night falls over the forest. Vince goes back to the storage area to get ready, and then heads to the house for dinner. But when he enters, the house is completely empty. The silence feels unnatural, and he begins to feel uneasy. Just as his fear starts to grow, all three sisters suddenly appear together, as if nothing is wrong. They quickly arrange dinner. This time, however, they keep watching Vince very closely while he eats. Their gaze feels intense and unsettling. Vince notices this and asks what is going on. The sisters smile and tell him that he looks especially handsome tonight. Their tone is soft soft, and the conversation slowly becomes more personal and slightly romantic, creating a strange mix of comfort and tension. After dinner, Vince offers to help in the kitchen, but the sisters immediately stop him. They insist that guests are never allowed to work in their home. Vince replies that he no longer considers himself a guest. He then starts heading back to the storage area, but suddenly stops. He realizes he forgot to thank them for the meal. When he returns to the house, everything has changed. The house is completely empty again. The kitchen, where food had just been prepared, is now spotless. Not even a single crumb remains. This deeply unsettles Vince. He quickly checks their rooms, but no one is there. Confusion turns into fear as he starts calling out for them. While searching, he enters one room filled with strange clothes and unusual objects. The items look old, mysterious. He quickly leaves the room and runs outside, deciding to search for the sisters in the forest. He goes deeper into the dark woods, calling their names, but there is no response. The silence is heavy. Suddenly, he notices a shadow moving in the distance. Driven by curiosity and fear, he follows it. As he gets closer, he sees a fire burning among the trees. Near the fire, the three sisters are standing together, performing some kind of ritual. Their faces are completely expressionless, which sends chills down Vince's spine. Trying to understand what is happening, Vince carefully steps closer, but accidentally steps on a dry piece of wood. It snaps loudly, breaking the silence. Instantly, the sisters stop and turn toward the sound. Realizing the danger, Vince quickly tries to escape and hide. The sisters begin searching for him, moving calmly but with clear intent. Soon, Sarah finds him. She looks at him and asks why he is hiding. Vince, nervous and scared, lies and says he was just coming to meet them. Then he asks what they were doing near the fire. Sarah calmly replies that they perform a ritual every month, and that is exactly what they were doing that night. Her calm voice makes the situation even more disturbing, leaving Vince with the realization that he may have walked into something far more dangerous than he ever imagined. After they return home, Vince is surprised to see the kitchen fully stocked with supplies. He asks Sarah, saying none of this was here before. Sarah tells him he must be imagining things and that he's just tired. She says he should come with her to rest. Then she takes him to her room. Later that night, Vince ends up being with all three sisters one by one, and eventually, he gets exhausted and falls asleep. In the middle of the night, Vince wakes up after hearing a noise. He soon notices that the three sisters are standing near the door, talking to someone outside. Curious, Vince quietly moves to the upstairs window and sees a man outside. As he watches, the man starts walking away. Vince slowly climbs out of the window. Meanwhile, the sisters head back to their rooms, and Vince decides to follow the man. By now, he has started to suspect that the sisters might be hiding something. The man walks deep into the forest. Vince carefully follows him through the darkness, but suddenly, the man disappears. Vince tries to find him, but strong winds begin to blow, and soon it starts raining heavily. Vince hides near a tree, and suddenly lightning strikes very close to him. The shock knocks him unconscious. The next morning, Vince wakes up and sees the three sisters standing in front of him. Sarah asks what he was doing in the forest. Vince tells them about the man and asks who he was. The sisters explain that he was a servant from the mansion and had come to invite them to a party happening that night. Vince is confused about why the invitation came so late at night, but they tell him that the mansion always sends invitations at night. Then they tell Vince to rest and give him a cup of coffee. After drinking it, Vince lies down to relax. By evening, the sisters are getting ready to go to the mansion party. They are discussing it when Vince comes in and asks what they are hiding from him. The sisters avoid the question. Vince gets ready and joins the three sisters in a horse carriage sent by the mansion, since it is far away. After some time, they arrive at the mansion. There are many guests present. The sisters take Vince inside, and everyone's attention turns toward him. Vince feels uneasy, but stays quiet. After a while, the sisters introduce him to the mansion family. The owner of the mansion is William, who warmly welcomes Vince. The family starts asking Vince strange questions, mostly about death and the devil. Hearing this, Vince becomes nervous and decides to walk around the mansion alone. Soon, he enters a room where he sees an old man. The man appears to be the oldest member of the mansion, though he no longer holds power there. He asks Vince who he is and where he came from. Vince explains that he is just a traveler staying with three sisters nearby. Hearing this, the old man warns him to leave as soon as possible, saying his life is in danger. Vince doesn't fully understand and doesn't take him seriously. He leaves the room and continues wandering. After some time, Vince finds Livia in another room. She takes him inside, and once again, they become. The next morning, Vince is back at the sisters' house. He tells them that he has fallen in love with all three of them and has decided to stay with them forever. Hearing this, the sisters ask if he truly loves them. As soon as Vince says yes, everything changes. Suddenly, all three sisters attack him. They reveal their true forms. They are witches. Vince is terrified. They begin it. The entire Mansion family is present at his funeral. The three sisters, while everyone silently watches. Although William is the owner of the mansion, he follows the orders of his older brother, John. John is also present. He asks the sisters if Vince had fallen in love with them. They confirm that he did, and that each of them. John praises them for their work and then angrily scolds the rest of the family. He says the sisters are doing their job properly, but the others are not. He then orders that from next month, the three sisters will stay at the mansion, while the rest of the family will go into the forest to find new victims. After insulting them further, John leaves with the family. Among the three sisters, only Livia feels some sadness over as she had started to like him. The sisters are already wealthy. Every month, they return to the forest and then go back to the city. And with that, the story comes to an end.